CBS News.
The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
And we are live.
Definitely.
Welcome back to This Week in Redacted. I am Ryan Redacted, and this is the podcast where we will be going over the top 5 abnormal news articles as presented by Reddit in the categories of aliens, the paranormal, cryptozoology,
Say that fast 5
true
times.
crime. I know, right? Yeah, true crime, and of course, what's the last one, Chris?
Aliens.
Aliens. As always, aliens. And with me every week is Chris Redacted. How are you doing this week, Chris?
I'm doing fine, man. It's been busy. Been busy with work, work's been picking up, work retail, so that's been getting kind of hectic. It's been an interesting day and week in media, especially for us. It's been a popping week in the Bigfoot community. So yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
it's been good. It's been good. It's good to be back and discussing abnormalities, I guess, news. Abnormal news is what we were calling it.
Yeah, we have some really fun posts today, and some of them are actually reposts in a sense because we were already talking about them last week in one way or another. So, for instance, we had a huge discussion around AI last week, right?
Yep.
And this week that's going to be super relevant. And of course, we're going to also go over episode 3 of Encounters.
Oh, that should be spicy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into it. I've got a little synopsis this time, and we're also going to be doing a Campfire Tales, and that will be led by you. And then we'll be wrapping it up with some TikTok reactions on some of the goofiest, most ridiculous. Like, TikTok is just so bad, but there's just something like, it's literally Halloween candy.
You know what's
TikTok
funny?
Is Halloween candy.
I don't even have a TikTok account. So it's like what you're showing me is like my version of TikTok. And it just like, I don't think I'll get it. Like, it's just, but they're so bad. You're right. It's like Halloween candy. It's like candy corn candy of candy,
Well, which part is the part that you don't, is it that you don't get it or you don't agree with sort of the short form content?
I just don't
get
like it, the short format. Like, I just don't, I was never into Vine. I was, shorts and all of that. Like, I was just like, doesn't do anything for me. And I kind of hated that YouTube is doing that too. Like, they're all doing that.
Listen, man, the world is about short form content. I can't believe you never got into Vine.
I never got into Vine. I never got into TikTok. Snapchat. I was never part of Snapchat. Like, I think I am one of those people that I used Instagram back in the day for like just photography, and that was it. And I don't like what it's turned into, and I think that's what it is. Like, I don't like that whole format. I think it dumbs us down. Like, I think it actually does anything. I think it actually hurts us. It's so much entertainment and information gets put out there and misinformation, but I think it's detrimental to like intelligence just because it's like our attention span. It's like how long are the segments? Less than a minute, like a minute 30.
They're going to be a minute, but look, here's the thing, right? I have heard this argument my entire life from every single old person that's been in my
But I'm
life.
not. We're almost
Okay?
the same age, and I'm not saying that
I
it's
know
like
we're almost.
it's like it's not like I'm saying it's making us dumber. Like I actively feel dumber watching these things. Like a minute, like it's just like my attention span. And now even like when I'm browsing through videos, like I'll skip through the stuff. It's like it's just like it encourages that. I just don't understand.
I don't think so. Here's where I'm going to disagree with you on it, right? Because I had a professor in college who literally, around the time when I was in college, phones were starting to be like, cell phones were starting to be like all the rage, right? Like everyone was like getting into them.
Are you
We
talking
had
about the
pagers
big old brick
beforehand.
ones? Like the one that was like,
Yeah, the
hello?
Nokias. Yes, absolutely. Those are the ones I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, like I think
So
my dad had one and he was an electrician for the city, dude. And that's the only reason. Them and drug dealers, it's like he was on call with the city. So it's like he had to go have that. But anybody else that had that was like a drug deal. And I am one of those people that I am not ashamed to say, dude, I didn't get a cell phone until like maybe 2012 because work made me get a cell phone. But before that, I didn't have a cell phone. Like I didn't
I am
feel
learning so much about you. I cannot believe that that's true.
Yeah,
How is that
and
true?
then someone was like, "Why don't you have a cell phone?" Right? Like I was just like, "Well, maybe I don't want to be found. If you want to find me, you know how to find me." And that's how I
I
went.
don't even know
But
what to say.
but work
Like this
work
is
made me like I
horrible.
had to have one, and that's where I was like, "All right, I guess I have to have one." And yeah, it was like 2011, 2010 maybe, and yeah, that's when I got a cell phone, and I was like way behind. I didn't have a pager. I didn't have like the whole Nokia, and I had none of that. Like it just did. I don't know. I don't know if it didn't interest me or I just didn't feel like I needed one at the time.
Okay, well, I definitely felt like I needed one. I had a pager, like the cheap $1.99 per
But
month
why, bro? You used
pager
to get
in
those
high school.
the text lead speak. Is that what you used to do on it?
Yeah, no,
Show me
absolutely.
your
People would be
boobies. Is
like,
like they used to text girls in it.
no, nothing like that. But it was like, hey, let's meet up here or whatever. And it was just like it was a way to ping, especially like when I
But you
started
could do the same
driving.
thing with the landline. God, I'm sounding old.
You can, except for we were all driving around at that point, and it was one of those things where it was just like, I mean, that's not even the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation was in college, right? I had a much older professor who saw the text messaging stuff go on
Mhm.
and saw how people were starting to use emojis, and I'll never forget his rant on how it was destroying civilization because people were putting smiley faces instead of
Text
smiling, right? Or yeah, or
or
instead of
LOL or a
describing.
ruffle or it's like yeah, they've become official words at this point.
Yeah, all of that stuff. He was convinced 100% that it was going to be the downfall of society, and maybe I don't know, maybe it was the start of the downfall of society.
So this is a
I don't think
conspiracy.
so.
This is a conspiracy nut in me, right? Like maybe they're trying to purposely distract us. They're purposely giving us these 1 minutes. So our attention span is just smaller. We're not really paying attention to what's really going on with all the crap that's going on right now, right? And maybe
Who's
that's
they?
who even knows that. That's a whole nother story. But it's just like our attention span is smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Like it feels like they're purposely doing that. Or maybe humans are just that stupid and we thrive for 1 minute attention and on to the next thing.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I think. I think that we. I don't think that it's. I think that the 1 minute time span or the shorter time span is just actually how like one way that we operate, right? I don't think that it's necessarily like forcing us to be dumber or smarter, but it's just like a different contextualized format for us understanding and wrapping our minds around things. And here's where I'm getting that from. Have you ever read a haiku?
I mean, not recently.
Okay, but you know what a haiku
I
is,
know what a
right?
haiku is. It's yes, a short format
Okay.
poem is what it really
It's
is,
a
right?
short it is a YouTube short,
Oh
comma,
God.
TikTok of poetry, and they are they're difficult to write. I am telling you, I took a creative writing
What is
class
it, like 5
in
syllables, 6 syllables, 5
PCC.
syllables? Is that what it is? Or do I even have that right?
Uh, yeah, 575 or 711 7. God, it's been so long. I'm not a
You
creative
have to, I
person
have to
anymore.
look that
So
up now.
yeah, it's one of those formats. But the point is that you're restricted in syllables, right? And
Yeah, it's
I'm
3
telling you,
lines
I
with
had
5
this
syllables in the first line, and then 7 in the second, and then 5 in the
5
third.
7.
Yeah, like there's
Yeah,
no
there
way
you
I
go.
could write it. I'm terrible.
Well, here's the thing. It's easy to write them, okay? It's easy to count syllables. What's challenging is actually putting an intriguing story into the condensed space. And so when I went to PCC, I don't know if you remember PCC in
Pasadena City
Pasadena.
College, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a professor, Ron Corchi. I forget his name now. It's such a long time ago. But anyhow, I took a creative writing class with him, and he was just firing off. He had like so many like haikus, but the thing that was amazing about them was that they were little stories, and they had twists and turns in this really condensed space. And to bring it back around to the short format stuff, right, and the conspiracy against destroying our attention, I don't think anyone would argue that haikus are destroying our attention. If anything, it forces you to be more concise with the things that you're trying to say. And I think when you're looking at the short form stuff, a lot of people just spit out garbage, but really it's not. The format does, in order to do it well, you have to really understand how to tell a story in that short amount of time. So I don't know. I don't think it's dumbing us down. I think people do use them in an idiotic way, but I don't think it's
Very
dumbing us
idiotic.
down.
I mean, half of the videos we watch on there are just comical. And yeah, it's just me being a conspiracy guy. Like, yeah, it's like dumbing us down. Like, but like I'll sit there and I'll watch them. Like, but I still don't have an account. I won't do it.
That's fine. We'll have the shared account. We'll show them on here, and we'll cut them up and we'll
Eventually I'll
have them
have to, because
in
it's like I can't go
segments.
search for them actively unless I have an account. So I'm just like, great. It's like I have to like type it into Google, and hopefully Google pops it up, like, or people send them to me, and that's how I usually watch them. But I still won't create an account. Like, and it's not because it's like a China, app or anything like that. I'm not that against it. Like I don't know. I just haven't showed interest into it.
Oh, I'm totally paranoid that China's spying on us with that. That's one conspiracy theory that I will buy into
You
like
think, yeah,
very easily.
didn't they, like, you have to have all these type of remove all the restrictions, like you have to say you're okay with them like getting your information, selling your information, or collecting your data for their purpose?
I don't trust anything that anyone says with data, and that's because I work in tech. So I understand how just all of that nonsense works. And when you're dealing with like like China, if they want your data, they're going to get your data. That's my opinion, at least. I'm not going to state that as fact, because there's obviously all kinds of like laws and regulations around data. But at the end of the day, if they want it, they're going to get it. But for us, it's an entertaining thing. And I would like to say to our audience, if you have suggestions for a TikTok or YouTube shorts for us to watch, please toss them to us. Leave them in the
Put them in the
comments.
comments, be like, you guys need to watch this specific channel because we're not doing it right. We're watching just like random, popular. So it could be that too. Like, put them in the comments.
Yeah, and we need things that are convincing. If you have something more than just some family pulling on like a string to open up a door, please, we need to see it, because so far I don't think we've seen anything even remotely convincing.
There's just
They're all
one, right? Like
entertaining.
one or two out of like, how many weeks has it been already that we've been doing this? And it's just like two of them where we were both like, okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, and that was like cut up from a YouTube. That was just completely stolen from like Bizarre Bub or some other
The
like prominent
Well, the guy
YouTuber.
that, it was off of TikTok where he went into that house it was like a
Yeah,
strange abandoned building, and that one was like really good. And it's because of the dog was
yeah,
in it.
yeah. So, and also, if you're watching us and you're enjoying the content and you want to give us an opportunity to grow as content creators, please like and subscribe, because it will definitely help us. And leave a comment for anything related to suggestions for the show format, because we're trying to grow this thing out and just have fun with it.
Definitely. Tell us what works, what doesn't work, what you guys like, what you don't like. If you don't like my stories, you want to hear Ryan tell a story, you know? Ryan's hour too.
Yeah, I'll do voices. I'll do the whole thing.
You know, do
But
sound
before
effects.
sound effects, yeah, I like everything. Well, you ready to get into
Oh
our
yeah,
top five for
definitely.
the week? Oh man, this is going to be the week for fun. I guarantee you. All right, so let's switch on over. So this is number 5 coming in from the Ghost subreddit, which is great for Halloween, with about 2,000 upvotes, 400 comments, and most people really liking this story. This is essentially some webcam footage of a husband and wife's living room that they had set up initially to record what their dogs were barking at. And they caught some combination of things that really cropped up here. One is the door opening, and we're going to take a look at the actual video in a second, and also a voice. And they have a little bit of a story associated with this, just to give some more context. Let's move on over to the post. Effectively, what happened was, wife is out in the kitchen doing some dishes. Husband, I think, is in the back of the house. He's got some earbuds in,
I think he went to
and
work. He was at work and she was there. And then she should send him the video like, hey, something strange happened at home. Like, I need you to watch this.
okay. So what's the bit with the earbuds then? Oh, he just had his AirPods in when she sent him the video, so he basically saw it immediately. So let's take a look at the video with some audio, and because there's an audio piece to this that I think is the interesting part.
Okay. I couldn't hear it, the audio part, what they said that they heard.
What
Like
they said happened.
but go on, let's just watch the video.
Okay, so I heard it at the start. It is really quiet, but it sounds like an.
All right, let me listen to it again one more time.
All right, let's listen to it. Let's go.
Is it before they bark?
Right there.
It sounds like a high to me. It says two things. I don't know if you notice it.
Oh man, those dogs are pissed. So, I mean, here's my first thought. It's not like we can see anything that's happening here. Like, it could have been a person,
Now here's the test,
right?
right? Do you think there's fish string? Like, do you believe that this is a fish string? Because you could tell right away. And this
I
doesn't
don't
look
think
like it.
so.
This like
I'm
it
gonna
has a
mute it.
weird slow motion, right? So the
Let's take a
dogs
look
are
at the
yeah, the
door
dogs are
opening.
calm, and how it's being opened is like the door is leading to the out the main door that leads outside. The dogs are there. Like there I don't see no fish string. And how it
How
opens.
like how's the setup? Because this looks like it's the main door to me. This looks like it's like a closet.
That door that opens up is probably a closet. And then the door in front of the door that opened, I think that's the outdoor because you can see the glare of the sun.
Yeah. Okay, it is a closet. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, because you can tell like how small it is compared to the other door next to it. So it's like not a walk-in closet, it's just like a coat closet.
Yeah.
And then you can tell that they have like all their stuff that they hang there, like the dog stuff. So it's like I don't see it. I don't the dogs freak
Yeah,
out.
okay. Look, here's the thing, right? Like if the owner is in the closet, I don't think the dogs are going to freak out. Like I just to be honest, like if we're looking at credibility for, the post, I think okay, so you've had dogs before, right?
Yeah, of
Or
course.
yeah, okay. So I mean, like you can play with them for sure, and they'll like bark. They're like dead asleep. The dogs are not like scared or anything, right? They're coming from a rested state.
Well, one of them is right in front of the door. And I
Yeah,
think
and look at how it scrambles.
Is it the first to run away? Let me see. Look at it. How much? Yeah, it's the first to
Look at that one
move.
right there. Poor doggos, man. They're so scared.
Bro, they say dogs, they sense and see. I've had that. Have you ever? You've had dogs, so you ever experienced
Yeah.
that? Like your dog just staring at a wall or just staring at something? Your dog or cats?
Oh, yeah, a couple times. Cats especially, but like I had dogs when I was a kid, and
My cats have done
absolutely.
that. Like if you see behind me, I've seen them like stare at that corner in my room where the machine is at. I've seen them just like standing in front of it, just like staring at the corner. I was like, okay, like what the hell is there? But
Now,
yeah,
to be fair, every single dog, like if you just play a little bit of clown music in the background, like you can tell there's nothing going on in their head anyhow. They're just like
the
food,
Benny
food,
Hill
food.
song is
Yeah, exactly.
you're not wrong. But cats are also they pick it up. Like it's just, they'll do that weird, they're just staring or they're hissing. I've never had a cat hiss at like, nothing, which is thank God. But this one
Oh, I
is
have.
this oh
I
really
have
at
before.
nothing?
Yeah, well, they're uh I don't want to say nothing because it's like
It was hissing at nothing
Selena.
in front of it, is what it was
Yeah,
hissing at.
I didn't see anything, but like it could have been a possum, it could have, you know what I mean? Like there's so many just like animal triggers. They definitely have senses that are more honed than ours.
Definitely, like my cats and dogs over the years, I've seen them sense some stuff that I'm just like, huh. But this one's good. This one's pretty good. This is one of the first solid ones we've seen in a while on this subreddit. A lot of them have not been solid. You always bash them like right away. Where I'm just like, okay, this one's interesting. This is a
Yeah, I
good
mean,
spooky, creepy video.
yeah, one problem I think with a lot of the videos that we've looked at, and especially the ones on TikTok that we were just like talking about, is they just start off from a space of bad faith,
They put
right? Like
terrible
it feels,
music. Yeah, it's like if they would have put the
yeah,
eerie, creepy background noise. Like, no, I like the fact that they just put this video and they're like, hey, what do you guys think? Like, should we be freaked out? Like, are they going to upload more videos? It's things like that, or with more creepy music. But this one's a good one.
yeah. And here's the thing, right? Like the door opening on its own. I mean, I had a screw fly out of the wall this last week. I was putting in some like a fixture type thing, and I let go of it, and the thing just literally came out, and it's really bizarre, right? Things like that happen. Like that's just a thing that happens. Doors open, there's like a gust of wind or like all kinds of reasons for things to happen. The
I mean, what
dog's
is
getting
it? Pressure?
scared.
The barometer change? Is that what you're blaming? Is just, things that open by themselves, like doors open by. I've had doors open by itself. This door right here has opened by itself. This one right here. What is that one?
Your living room door.
This one right here. This one's open by itself lots of times in the middle of the night. Like let's say I'm gaming,
Okay.
and then it'll just be like clank clank. It's a coat room. That's what it is. It's not big.
Oh, a coat room. Okay, my bad. My bad.
So
Okay.
I've had
Yeah.
that open, and I'll just turn around and just be like, "What the fuck?" But it's not like it could be as my girl uses it every day. She may not close it right, and it could be like the gust of
Yeah.
wind. It could be my neighbors coming up the stairs and vibrating it, but it opens all the time by itself. It'd be cool if it opens by itself while we're streaming.
Yeah. And here's the thing: the door could have opened by itself, and it just scared the dogs. Doesn't have to be ghost.
I've
Doesn't have
had
to be
as much as I
ghost.
wanted to be a ghost, I've had that happen. Like just open itself and scare the hell out of the cats and frighten me a little bit. It's creepy having that open by itself in the middle of the night while you're gaming or
Yeah.
you're watching a movie or something. You're just like, what?
Well, we expect things to stay the way that they are. We don't expect to see change.
I mean,
Like
but if it
if
closed
something is
by
sitting.
itself, then it would have been even creepier.
I don't know. I would have just said, "Hey, thanks. Thanks for shutting the door." I didn't want to do it.
Right? Yeah. But it's like I think we all experience doors opening and closing, and sometimes there's logical explanations for it.
Yeah, but this was definitely one of the better ones. I
Yeah,
would
definitely.
definitely.
This one's kind of I
I
can't really explain it. I can't say it's a ghost. I can't say, no backstory behind it. That's also what I like too. Like it wasn't like, hey, we moved into this house. People said that like, the lady died before. She had like 4 cats and she died in that room. I like that too.
Yeah.
Where like we don't know what happened, we don't know exactly, and some creepy stuff is now happening.
All right, let's kick off number 4. All right, this one is going to be the talk of the town,
This is my favorite.
cryptozoologies. Yep, number 4 coming in, cryptozoology, about 2,000 upvotes, 340 comments, most people enjoying the post.
Oh, I enjoyed
Bigfoot
it.
reportedly spotted from a train in a remote part of Colorado. So I think the important thing is just to dig into this one with the footage. We'll do it once with the audio. So why don't you take this off and while I load the
Oh
zoomed in
man, all right.
footage?
So this took place on a train that was going from Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. So it's a famous train, track that goes through Colorado. It is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. It's actually a thing I probably want to do now just because after watching this video. So it's a group of people, they're on a train and they say that there's 4 people that actually see it and they're recording it. They see it passing by, so you can see the video. And what got me about it is that they're the only 4 people that reacted to it, and everybody stayed kind of calm on it. So there's a lot of information. People posted the GPS coordinates for it. You could look it up
Ooh.
on there. It's really close to a town. Like it's not even far from town. So someone could have potentially walked over there, positioned themselves, and as the train was coming by, they made it seem like Bigfoot was coming. I'm gonna say this is a fake, and there's 2 reasons why I believe it's fake. Now, if you could pull up the video and focus on the part where his leg is back a bit, it looks like a pant, and that's what Reddit like destroyed. Like it ate it up. They're saying a certain point where he's making a stride, and that when he back strides, you can see the back part of his leg, and it looks like a pant. And there's minor pixelation in it if you zoom in on it, and you could see it. Now it's super convincing. If it is real, it would be one of the most compelling Bigfoot videos in modern times, besides the Patterson video. But you could tell the pant right there.
Oh, right there.
You
I
can see the
see.
pant leg, and that's where Reddit was like destroying it. Oddly enough, I actually posted this video before Cryptozoology posted it, dude, and it has 1 million views from it, and it got shared
Wow.
2,000 times. And dude, the amount of posts that I got from it, because I posted it right after I saw the Facebook story that my fiance messaged me. She's like, "Oh, check this out. This looks really good." And she's not a believer at all. She's like a super skeptic on Bigfoot. She thinks I'm crazy. She thinks anybody, believes in interdimensional Bigfoot is ridiculous. But I saw that. I went to Reddit to go see what people were talking about it, and there was no post of it. So then I downloaded the video from Facebook, I put it up there, and I shared it, and I found out where it was, who posted it. And then people started pointing out things saying like, hey, it's got this weird pointy head. It's super shiny. An animal of that nature out in the wild would not look that clean, is what they were saying. You could tell too that it looks like really like super clean. You could see it, and definitely the pant. But there's some people saying that if you zoom in on it, there's pixelation on his leg, and they're saying that's why it looks like a pant. And you can see that also the pixelation in it. So that kind of like makes it a 50-50. But I personally think what debunks this is there's a known company that is right down the street from this place that sells equipment, and it's Sasquatch like equipment or something like that. And that's where everybody's saying like these people are doing it for publicity. The owner wears a Bigfoot costume and he goes out there and takes pictures with people, and he's trying to sell his product, and it's just a publicity stunt because anybody how close it is to the track and this little city that's near. It's like it's walking distance. It's like probably from your local gas station to your home, like how far it is. It's not even that far. And they're saying that it's staged and it was out there for publicity, and because it's now viral and now everybody knows there, that everyone's now going to go out to that area. And the odd thing is they also have Bigfoot expeditions, and that's what they sell. They sell all of that. And it's I honestly think that's what it is. As much as it's a great video, it's pretty compelling. Uh, the fact that it was on a train and people were recording it, I think it was really well done. Really, really well done hoax if it's a hoax. If it's real, then it's also a really good video. The only thing that I have against it is that it wasn't recorded in 1080p. It's still in 720p, which is still solid, but like, come on, guys. 4K, man. Like, how many people don't have 4K set up on their phone, or at least 1080p and 60 frames per second? Like,
I mean, if you're going through Colorado, beautiful
yeah, like, are
Colorado,
you gonna be
you
recording it in 720p?
I, what kind of monster does that?
You'd be
You know?
surprised how many boomers, don't know, maybe, But I just, as a believer, there's like 25% of me thinks this is real. The 75% is the pant leg, how close it is to the city, and that Sasquatch expedition, you know, group that sells, trips to help you go look for Bigfoot in Colorado. Beautiful area. And I don't know how much you researched, but I remember when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then people started going like, no, there's this problem with this. No, there's a problem with that. The height ratio isn't correct. His arm ratio isn't correct. His leg ratio, his stride isn't correct. Like it's too close to the city. Why would it sit down? I mean, people were making fun of it, saying that it was sitting down taking a shit, which is hilarious. But there was one thing that someone said that, like, if Bigfoot is real and this is what it really does, that it blended really well with that environment. If you really think about it, like if you weren't told and you were just paused and you say, find a Bigfoot in this picture. And that's,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it blended really well. So hats off to the hide and seek champion.
Yeah, that's in terms of it being convincing and compelling. That's the piece that caught my eye, was the fact that like when he does squat down, like you just wouldn't, as a passerby on a train, you wouldn't see it. I thought that was very interesting. I don't think this is real. I've heard you can go hunting and wear camouflage and the same kind of setup. Your story about it just being like a viral ad basically for a local business
Yeah,
sounds
definitely. Yeah,
reasonable.
yeah. That's viral ad is what they're trying to do. I think the pant leg is what like did it for me. Once someone pointed that out, I was like, ah, this is fake. It's a really good fake.
I mean, this hit every single YouTube channel that
Oh
I've
man,
subscribed to.
they all
Every
loved it and ate it. It
people,
was like on
oh yeah,
CNN, it was on
oof.
TMZ, it was on I think Forbes. It was like on everywhere because it was just like, is this Bigfoot? Like, did someone capture Bigfoot? So there's still a complete fascination about this, and this is pretty good. This is pretty good, attempt of making this real. Like this is a really good one. Like I give it a 10 out of 10 in quality and production, and attempt to like fool a whole crowd of people. The funny thing
Definitely a
is,
fun
like,
one.
yeah, everybody was like, I hope he was wearing a vest because someone could have shot it and killed him. Half of the
Oh man,
half of the
that's
people were
yeah.
arguing, going like, why would you kill Bigfoot? And the other half were like, why wouldn't you? It's like, and that's why I was like, man, I would never dress up as Bigfoot for like clout and trying to make millions off of a video because I run the risk of getting shot. Because half of the people on Reddit said like, yeah, they would absolutely shoot a Bigfoot.
Yeah, they say that about anything on Reddit though. Like
Uh,
every other post is like, yeah, I just shoot like whoever.
but yeah, this is a
Well,
good one. I viral ad, and it could be real. I mean, they haven't come out and said that it's a hoax, that they did it, that the owner did it and put a suit on. Now, the only thing in my defense for the video was like the costume that the guy wears on their webpage, because you could find it. Like if you look it up, the Colorado. If you look up Durango Silverton,
Yeah.
Sasquatch, you could find it. That guy's costume is pretty terrible, and the two costume he has on and on his webpage, they look nothing like this guy's costume. So this actually is a very good costume.
It's kind of hard to tell with the pixels, to be honest. Like
Well, you could
it
see that
definitely
there's
blends in
like
color
you could
wise.
see like the hair on it, it moves, where the other one just looks like patches of like hair were like not I don't even know the process like how they make costumes, but this looks like it's meant to be wavy and movement, and the costume that they show you looks like a terrible Party City Bigfoot costume. It's what they look like he was wearing.
Why do you have to bash on Party City, man?
I mean, they're
Come on.
terrible, let's be real, for $60.
All right, well, this one's a thumbs down for me for sure. I
It
think
gets a
it's fun,
thumbs
it's
up for
entertaining.
entertainment, and it almost had me. It almost had me like this is it. This is the next Patterson video. And then it got debunked right away by like the community. It's crazy
That's why you need skeptics.
the amount of messages that Reddit tells you, the amount of people that commented on it, and half the community believe it was absolutely real and it changes the Bigfoot game, and the other half are like fake 1000%. So it's just so crazy how split that community is. I love that community. They're hilarious.
It's been pretty fun. I joined them just to see what people are saying, and you know, very polarizing.
Absolutely. And we probably won't have another thing like this for maybe like another year, maybe another 6 months, maybe. They come in waves like
Next October.
yeah, next October.
All right. Well, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is from Morbid Reality with almost 3,000 upvotes, 240 comments, and everybody is just digging this one because it is news. And we actually talked about this.
I mean, I had the body
last
count wrong. I
week.
was like 1,000 or something like that, but it was like 15, 115 bodies.
Oh yeah, you were off by, oh my god. When you said like 1,000, I was like, what is like 1,000 bodies? Like, what does that even look like?
Hey, trying to make it spicy here.
So here's the context for this one. Police found 115 bodies at Colorado Green Funeral Home while investigating putrid smells. So this one is really one thing that we didn't hone in on last week, and we were just talking about this one in passing last week, was that it is a green funeral home. Do you know what a green funeral home is?
No.
Okay, so a green funeral home is a natural funeral home where they have biodegrading caskets. They don't embalm. They use materials
Acid.
that aren't toxic, right? And they basically bury you in and then into the ground with, a set of conditions, and then just everything just kind of like melts away. So it's meant to be like you're not going to be in your casket. Basically, your casket just kind of
You become part of
gets
the tree is
evaporated.
what.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, how
And
bad is it? Like the non-green ones. Like, how bad is it really? Like for the Earth, I guess. Like chemically, like
I don't know. I can't imagine it's good, but I imagine the casket keeps a lot of that in, right?
you would assume.
I actually don't know. I
Like,
would
what happens when
assume
it
no,
rains?
but
Like, because it's still gonna go through that. They're not waterproof, and water does sink. So who knows? That's a very good. I'm gonna actually research that.
I might as well just get an answer for like what happens with the chemicals during
So does the
embalming,
article
because
cover anything about them, like why they went out of business and why this, like, because I know they're suing the guy, right? Like, and they're holding him accountable for all of these bodies now.
so here all the information I have is from a couple of days ago, so I don't know if there was anything that cropped up like in the last day or so. But effectively, they just piled up bodies. They charged people and started piling up bodies and called it a natural funeral. So I have the AP article, and then the interesting thing from the AP article was that they were charging like $18.95 for a natural burial, which didn't count the casket or the cemetery space. and that's where I kind of honed in on the green burial
Okay, so let me
aspect
let
of
me
it.
explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, right? Like if I'm understanding is so they were running a green funeral home, right? And in
Yeah,
their funeral home, they were charging 1,800, is what you're saying, right? So
yeah, minus the casket and other
okay,
stuff,
so
but yeah.
then they weren't doing the whole standard way of burying people. Were they just really just stacking bodies on top of it and saying this is natural and it was just still functioning? Is that what I'm gathering? Is that what I'm understanding? Or was it a business that already had gone out of business? Because that's what I first thought the article was trying to say, or that it conveyed that it was a business that failed and it decided, all right, these 115 bodies, sorry guys, good luck. Is that what happened? Or this is what's their business practice and the community then reported them because it smelled foul?
It's not, you're not supposed to just throw bodies into a big pile. Like, let's start with that. Like,
Yes,
that's not what they're
I
doing here,
understand, but
right?
that's what they were saying
Okay,
is they were green.
that's not green. That's not green. Green has still like
Okay,
some
so they were fault.
criteria
Okay.
to it. Yeah, it's not
So
just
they
like
were
dig a
doing
ditch and
things
then throw them
completely
into the
wrong,
well.
is what I'm getting, right? I'm gathering from.
They're taking people's money. They were telling them they're going to do the green process. One of the things that did crop up was, I believe, if you're not going to bury a body within 24 hours, you need to refrigerate it. Like, there's actual regulations that need to be followed independent of if it's green or not. The green is just like a separate set of criteria, right? So that you can bury it in a more natural way.
It's like
And
the vegan of burying people. Is that what it is? What you're telling me?
it is, except for they don't really advertise it at every chance they get. They're not like,
Copy.
hey, you should bury green, you know?
My apologies to all our vegan watchers.
Yeah, all zero of them.
Really.
But yeah, so there's a set of criteria for it, and it clearly this is negligence on the funeral home, right? They were just taking people's money, throwing people into piles. There's not a lot of information on why AP had reached out to basically everybody, including the owner. There's absolutely going to be some lawsuits that are associated with this one way or
Well, all the
another.
families, all those 115 families that they thought that their family members were being properly and organically being organic with
Yeah.
the world, I guess that's how they might have pitched it to them.
Although a local newscast, which I actually have here, if we want to watch it, I do believe they say that they're not pressing charges.
Really?
Let's take a look at let's see what this says, because this is the actual NBC News article from it.
See, they only discovered it because it smelled terrible, right? Is why they
Yeah.
only went there to begin with. This is such a big thing. just so surprised that the families are not going to sue.
Wow. What do you say to that? You know?
Nothing.
What a bummer, man. Like what
Oh,
like I don't know. Like he claimed to be practicing taxidermy. Like let that sink in a little bit. There's 115 bodies at this location. It smells bad. It smells horrifically bad. They call him up and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just do taxidermy. That's what I'm doing in there."
I'm practicing.
Yeah, I'm practicing.
I'm trying
I got
new
some
new
practice.
techniques and ways and measures of doing things.
I mean, it's just horrific, absolutely horrific. And they're gonna like we'll talk about this. I think this is one that we should just follow just because it's like so freaking
It'd be
bizarre.
like, what happened? Follow up.
Yeah, we'll do a follow
Well,
up on this
follow
and we'll
up. It'd
bring
be
it up
like,
on the
what really happened to
podcast.
this guy? You know, there's families that are
Yeah,
going to
this
sue.
is.
I think they're going to sue.
I mean, it doesn't. I don't like if the guy didn't renew the funeral license and then basically took in $115,000, more
Easy
than
money.
$115,000
He
of
might have not
money in
even know
that
what he
time.
was doing and just pretend like I know, this is what I'm doing and be like, oh, this is much harder than what I anticipated. Like how hard is it to get rid of bodies, in a funeral home? And maybe he just was like way over his head. That
He
could
just wanted to
also,
be a simple taxidermist, you know? That's all he wanted out of life was just to be a simple taxidermist.
yeah,
All right. Well,
definitely not.
all right. Well, that's enough of the
Man, that just sucks.
bummer situation.
And this week I just like
Let's
touched base with you. Like I was like, hey, did you hear about this? I was like, yeah, like 1,000 bodies. Might as well have been 1,000 bodies. Make a lot of money.
All right, so this one, okay, so number two, all right, here's number two with 3,891 upvotes, 753 comments, and 85%, so 15% of the people downvoted this. This is from the conspiracy theory subreddit. Question everything you see. So, do you know the context on this one? Because this is context heavy.
No, I don't know
Okay.
what he was talking about, like what he was posting, like like what was. So from what I gathered is there was Hamas did an attack against Israel, and they were saying that they killed like 50 babies, right? And they decapitated and burned them, and I think that's what he was discussing, right? As far as I understand.
Yeah, so let's dig into this one because even before the show was going to launch earlier in the week, I was going to say, and I didn't message you because it didn't become an issue. I don't want to be covering anything around the conspiracy related Israeli Hamas war, right? Mainly because I don't think if you're not like well versed in some like a topic like that, especially as polarizing as it is, well, why are all people talking about and taking a stance one way or the other? Like, just people shouldn't be killing people. People shouldn't be, bombing people under any circumstance. That's the general take. And I knew conspiracy Reddit was going to have something around that. But that's not what this post is about. That's only the catalyst for this tweet. So a little bit of context on Ben Shapiro. Ben is I think journalist. He's definitely an author. He's a conservative talking head, really popular on YouTube. He founded, I can never remember the name, the Daily Wire, which is a conservative sort of like news outlet that's got like a bunch of media and all that kind of stuff. He's also Jewish. And so you can imagine in the situation with Israeli and Hamas war going on, that if you're an online figure, you're going to be getting hit with all kinds of just garbage and nonsense just thrown at you. And what I suspect is that that's probably what was happening in the context here was that, He's
You
doing
think
his
he
regular
got
Twitter thing.
you think he got baited? Is that what it is? Like someone sent him this image, or you think
Look, he's gonna be everyone's gonna be emotional from like whatever stance they're coming from, and of course there's gonna be like online trolls, and so like the response to this, right, was eventually he sees this image, and this is where this post comes in, right, and this image is allegedly in the context of his understanding, um, some kind of dead Jewish baby, and that's what he was processing it as, and that's not exactly what it was. And so he's posting this as basically, so his tweet is gone, by the way, like he took it down.
yeah,
But basically this
he
gets on his
redacted it.
radar. He redacted it, yeah. So this gets on his radar. He's like, okay, this is the kind of garbage that's happening in the world. But this was an AI generated image, apparently.
Yeah, it's
So
so
that's where this really
dangerous.
takes
Yeah.
off. Yeah, so it's came from apparently, going on the conspiracy Reddit, from this image of a puppy, which then got translated into this generated image of charred something, and then that got floated up.
I think
And
also too, for context, you have to explain like why the puppy picture is relevant to the whole AI, because you could feed the AI pictures and say, hey, I need you to create an image off of this, and this image I want you to hit all this criteria in it. And let's say in this one I want you to put, like, let's say baby Ryu in this, make it, instead of a puppy, put baby Ryu, and then the AI is going to generate that image. So it seems like that's what they did. They got that image of the puppy, commanded the AI with instructions to say, hey, I need you to make, a burn dead baby and make it completely charred, and put a very shocking aspect to it, and that's what it generated. So for those viewers, watchers that don't know that, like, that's how AI kind of works. I've messed with it. I know you've messed with it significantly. I've made some crazy pictures, and I know you've shared that, and which is just crazy how sophisticated it could be, and someone could turn something so innocent into this. It's just, my mind is blown, and someone got suckered. They got debated into posting a picture of AI generated image and put it out there, and don't believe everything you read, really, or see. It's so
and that's
dangerous.
that. Yeah, like we were talking about this last week. We're going to be talking about this a lot, especially since we're going to be covering conspiracies, right? Validity of information. Misinformation is a phrase that I absolutely hate, because when it comes down to it, misinformation, you can be misinformed on something, and there's a component of bad faith in, I'll be using that phrase a lot, I think, probably over the course of while we're doing this. This is not misinformation. This is bad faith information. Someone intentionally designed this to, capitalize on people's feelings during a time of war, to ignite their darker side, to basically fuel fire, right? This is like absolute, this is the worst case scenario for using AI, is using it to manipulate people in a really disgusting way. And I just, it's not misinformation, it's like a whole tier above misinformation in terms of just like how destructive it is.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother. It's like it created a whole nother term or another thing, really. If you really think about it, it's just so, it's powerful and scary at the same time. Like someone with so much influential power could put something out like this and say, like, hey, this is what it is, and if he doesn't go and delete this, like, what type of influence can it actually have, or like what kind of hate can it actually generate? Because it's bad. Like, I don't know how much you followed what's going on in the world. Dude, I live in Los Angeles, and I have people fighting over it in front of my store over, you know, Palestine and Israel. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And I try not
Yeah.
to intervene. I'm like, it's none of my business. I'm not going to go into this. I'm not going to give my stance on it. Like, I'm not, like, I know it's sad, and I know it's a conflict, and I know it's happening. This is not even the first time. It's not even the second time. It's not even the third time. I think it's like the fourth or fifth time this has happened. So there's a systematic problem in that area. maybe we're to blame for it. Maybe we're not. Maybe they're to blame for it. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I don't know enough politics. I don't know enough geopolitics. I don't know enough of anything to like really say what's the problem. It's really causing it. And it's just sad because a lot of people are dying.
Yeah. Are you cool with vetoing conspiracy theories around the
Yes.
Israeli-Hamas conflict? Okay, so I think we're just gonna take a stance just as a whole, just to
It's
I'm sure
just,
there'll be interesting things that come out of that,
I
but
think it's like how we talked about the other. This is dangerous. It's dangerous for
yeah.
us. It's dangerous for just in general.
Yeah, and I think something like this, I think is absolutely worth talking about because it's exploiting people's feelings, right? And it's really an article about AI. It's not really about the conflict. That's just the container that it's in. But I don't really want to talk about like conspiracies related to an ongoing war. Just because again, there's just so much misinformation, so much bad faith information, and it's like we would have to entirely, in order to do something like that, we would need to be reporters. We would need to be entirely dedicating our full work day to
Full
investigate. You know
work
what I mean? Like,
year, bro. That's what
yeah,
this thing goes back
exactly.
a long time ago.
Yeah, and I think it's just left up. It's better left up to people who are in that
Journalist,
space. Yeah.
copy that.
Although I don't just trust a lot of journalism, so
No, they.
but
I mean,
yeah,
the same
for
thing.
sure.
They put out misinformation or bad information or what did you say it was? What are you calling it? Like bad faith.
Bad faith, I think, is really where this comes from. Like, and again, we will start to dig into misinformation and categorizing it because it's this blanket term that's used for all kinds of different individual components of bad information, right? Like
Yeah,
things that aren't true, right? But bad faith, this is manipulation. This is bad faith. So
copy. Let's move
at
on.
least that's how I see it. Yeah. Well, here's our last one. This is
Dude, this is
number
funny.
one again. Oh, I love this one. From the Alien subreddit, coming in at number one with 4,771 votes, 272 comments, and basically everybody's on board with it. This last month in a nutshell.
I mean, didn't I joke?
And
I joked about this. It's like, it's like they actually might have potentially found real life on another planet, and they're trying to figure out the criteria and the data behind it, and they're gonna now analyze it and redo it and keep doing, research on it and try to get it like, peer reviewed and no, that's out the window at the autopsies and everything in Mexico. And oh man, who knew that this was gonna happen? It's amazing. I loved it. It was comical, but it's so sad and true.
look here. Okay, here's my first comment on this. Why are the quotes on aliens? It needs to be over real, like real aliens found in Mexico. That's my take on it. Aside from that, like this is another one about misinformation,
Oh
right?
my god.
Because so much, right? Because the carbon dioxide found on Europa um is a thing. Nope, that's not it. Boom, ba-da-dum. So really what we're dealing with here is I don't want to say some whack job because that's a little disingenuous, right? But we have someone who's got a track record of being disproven with the alien, bodies and all that kind of stuff. They've already tried that route and it didn't work, and now it's being mixed in with a presentation to the Mexican government with potentially legitimate information, but it's like peeing in the pool, right? Like the whole water's tainted
More like
now.
shitting in the pool, bro. That's what it really
Yeah,
is.
I mean that's what it is. Although like, and we could do a follow up on it, but they have X-rayed these things. They've
Well, you've seen that
started to dissect them.
they're starting to dissect them and analyze the
Yeah.
DNA and how they're some of the scientists that were doing it were like, it's really fascinating that the head is gone. It makes it really easy now to like dissect, and I don't know enough about DNA extraction and whatnot, and they're carefully doing, and I'm just like, okay, maybe this is real, maybe it is something, but there's so
Yeah.
much bad faith information on it out there that's just like you got to believe. Who even knows what to actually believe? I don't even know what's real, what's misinformation, bad faith
Well, and
information.
here's the hard part, right? Because in a previous podcast, we were looking at NASA's response to the whole aliens thing, right? And they basically said like, hey, we're going to come out and tell you, or if there's stuff to disclose, we're just going to come out and tell the public, basically, right? So they're already, but the issue there was people don't trust that the government is going to legitimately do that, right?
I mean, they
So
have
on the
years
one
of us
hand,
not telling us anything to all of a sudden they're just like, oh, we're going to tell you everything now. Like, on good faith, we're going to
right,
tell you all about aliens now. Everything that we get is just going to go straight to you. And it's just like, really? Are you really going to tell us everything? Are you really going to share everything? And so the trust isn't there. How long is it going to take for them? It may never be there. Like, in all honesty, I don't think, I don't trust them. I don't think they're going to
and
do that.
that's why this meme is so powerful, because what it comes down to is the carbon dioxide found on Europa is, one, you need to have scientific background in order to really understand the full depth of the science that happened there, right? We're only getting a journalist's article on it at the end of the day, so we're relying on like all these layers of analysis to just authenticate that it's like a thing that happened. The real aliens, people are navigating to that because it's easily digestible, right? It's you see the picture and you're like, okay, it's aliens, right? You also don't have to have like a huge background in order to be like, yeah, they don't look human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
The one thing that I'm going to go on this crazy alien theory is I don't know. Okay, so there's 2001 A Space Odyssey, right?
yeah,
Have you ever seen the sequel to it? People also don't know that there's a sequel. So
2002.
it's 2010, the year we made contact, and it's literally us being warned and advised not to go to Europa. They're like, whatever you do, don't go to Europa. Go everywhere else but Europa. And
How have I not seen
yeah,
this?
2010, the year we made contact.
Okay.
And it's interesting, right? And I always thought about that. And I've heard many times interesting things about Europa and how we're advised not to go there. Like, but yet we keep going there. And there's been a lot of literature and movies and sci-fi that like warning us to go to Europa. Like, I don't know enough science about Europa, like what makes Europa so special, a moon of Jupiter, for those that don't know. But there's something special about Europa. I don't know if there's like ancient Greek mythology behind it or what exactly about it, but yeah, it's interesting. And that movie pretty much tells us don't go to Europa, stay away from it. And it's from the
Well, it's
80s.
because the options are Europa or Uranus, and no one wants to go to Uranus. So, of
This guy,
course you're
he's here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
gonna. I mean, I just love these names. So,
Europa,
what can I
Uranus.
say?
It's like, who came up with this? Yeah, like, yeah, but this is just a great beat. This is just aliens in a nutshell community, just the world community in a nutshell. That's just us as humans. Life discovered
Yeah, for
potentially
sure.
another planet, hoaxer, alien guy puts out fake aliens and the world goes nuts. Maybe that's what we really want. Maybe we really want like an alien civilization makes itself present and letting us know like it's not like us actively looking for life. What we may regard as life is that itself, carbon monoxide, what is it, dithium sulfide, whatever the hell it
Hmm.
was. Like that's maybe it. And I think we have to be okay with that if that's all it really is.
Oh, I agree. Whatever the truth is, that's what we need to be okay with. And if it turns out the truth is interdimensional big
Bigfoot.
feet,
You
like that's
okay
fine, as long as
with
it's the
the it's
truth,
fighting
right?
aliens? Remember the species of
Oh yeah.
xenofiends, I think that's what they're called.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what it
Sure.
really is. I'm still of that school of thought.
Well, that wraps it up for today's top 5 from Reddit. That's going
Copy.
to be the abnormal news for the week. Question for you: do you like having the memes in here?
Yeah, I
I
do.
actually do. Okay, all right. So I think we'll keep the format,
Because
and
it
if the
makes it
top article
hilarious.
is a
It's just
meme,
because it's not always going to be like a UFO was spotted in the whole world side. It's going to be this, which is like comical. Like it's amazing too. Like because it lets you know that also this community also knows that this is just ridiculous too.
yeah, some stuff is just like completely absurd. Well, okay. So here's what's the idea with taking the memes out is that when you do take the memes out, you are going to basically see some things that might be just not seen, right? So there might be like a really good UFO post that's like in the top 30, right? That is, very compelling. And if we're just going by like whatever most people upvote, then you're not going to see that kind of stuff. But the thing is, like, I actually love seeing these
Well, I
memes.
mean,
I think it's
I think
highlight.
it's something that now is like so present in our lives. Memes, like
Yeah.
it's just funny that this is just the best thing this week out of everything that possibly has been happening of all the UFO. There's been a lot of good UFO postings on that on the subreddit recently. I don't know if you've dived into it. A lot
Yeah.
of them. Ohio, I think there was a really big one, and also to somewhere in New York, there's like a really big one, but it's not going to be as big as this.
So here's what we'll do. We will keep with the memes and we'll keep with the format of the top 5. But if you are a viewer and you have a suggestion for a Reddit post or an article that has not shown up in the top 5 of the abnormal news that we'll be running, please submit it to us. Put it in the comments in YouTube, and we will add that as a user segment so that we can look at some things that are a little more curated, because I think that that would be a nice mix.
It's going to be what was it, the Tesla? What the hell's it called? The Starlink? That's what it's going to be.
I would love to see that because this they are unworldly, right? So
It's amazing.
even
It's
if those
scary
get
to see,
submitted,
really. Like, imagine, like, you knew nothing. I mean, we've discussed this like 2 or 3 times already, but yeah, it'd be amazing to see.
yeah. So do you want to do campfire story next, or do you want to do encounters episode 3?
Whatever you want,
Which
I'll
one
let you
sounds good?
decide.
All right, let's why don't we go through encounters episode 3
Okay,
and then we'll
to the
do
campfire.
campfire. Yeah, because it's got like its own little segment. So let's get it going. Encounters episode 3. So let me start off with I really enjoyed this episode. I thought one thing that I really like about Encounters as a whole is that they're very clearly trying to have some kind of like theme for every single episode that builds on building the legitimacy of people's experiences. And that's great for a skeptic because it gives us some things to like go through to basically say, is this good proof or bad proof, instead of just having like a bunch of claims of like, hey, I saw this thing, and it's just like the only thing that you can believe is whether or not that thing happened from that person's perspective. And episode 3 just dives straight into that. So we're getting more and more into the space of shared encounters, right? So episode 3 is all about this tiny village. It's a Welsh village, Broadhaven, and it's centered around the 1970s. And during that time, there were a huge amount of UFO sightings. And it wasn't just UFO sightings, there were also sightings with like fairies and just other sort of abnormal experiences. But the whole idea around this is that this episode is about reducing the surface area of whether or not these things are hoaxes by elevating the shared experiences that people have. So there's 3 segments in this episode. The first is a really popular one, and I think Chris, you gave a overview of this last week, but it was basically the Broadhaven school sighting, and the Broadhaven school sighting was just like in episode 2. You've got like a boarding school, right? You've got like or rather, you've got a school with school aged kids, and essentially they see something. They see what they think is a UFO, again in the 70s, and they report it. They immediately get sequestered away. They basically are 16 of them are locked away, and they're told to recount the experience and draw it. And they all draw similar looking saucers. And so what's interesting about this is that the features of the saucers are all very similar, although the actual pictures vary, assuming that the ones that they showed on the Netflix special were, somewhat accurate. But you'd see like a red dot on the top of like a UFO, and that would be consistent across all of the pictures. And so the whole idea here is that you're building legitimacy of the shared experience based off of this. And yeah, so that was like the first section. And then the second and the third one were kind of interesting. It was kind of hard to see where they were really trying to build this theme, but the theme of it not being a hoax, I think, really comes from the side sort of experience. So let me just go over number 2 real quickly, which was Rosa Granville and her daughter. And they had probably like what I thought was the weakest experience out of all of the encounters so far. But it's basically they are in a hotel and they see some aliens like basically fly down in a saucer, land, and they describe them as having long arms, long legs. They have a conversation with them, and the problem with this is that they basically start writing the government, and the government eventually comes in and starts to investigate the claims, and there's just like things aren't adding up. So basically, like the investigator comes in and he's like, okay, well, you said there's a saucer over here, so there should be like some burns, and there's like no burns. So the consistency of the story is a little bit out of place. But then you get into the third example. So the third one that they had was at a farm, and it was a family. And basically, they had a similar-ish experience, except for the aliens that they describe are like very large, wearing suits, and having like a motorcycle visor type helmet, those kinds of things. And they report like some occurrences, like their cattle missing, and it's like the whole family that's like in on this, right? So they're all like basically saying it. But the thing that links the two middle stories together is they have a shared experience with what sounds like is Men in Black, right? So Rosa started to see two strange men who basically start coming out to her door, and the two men talk synchronously, right? So they're, all saying the same words in the same time. And the family at the farm also had a similar experience.
Didn't they say that
so
they didn't, that there was something off about them, that they were weird too? Like there was something different about these people, right? Like they didn't have like facial hair, kind of like no facial expression or anything. Like there was like something really off about them. I think one of the stories said that too.
Yeah, and that's the typical Men in Black experience, right? Is there's a common Men in Black experience where they come in, they don't, like you said, they don't have faces, or they're very tall, they're in a suit, right? You can't really describe them after the fact. Your memory might be hazy. I hadn't heard the synchronous talking thing before, but that would fall into the abnormal, bizarre category, right? So, and that's the thing that links them together, is they both, after having these experiences, shared the Men in Black experience, and so that's supposed to legitimize their experiences somewhat, I think, is what the episode was going for. And yeah, there were some other details that I think were actually really important. Rosa basically described the aliens as like having a boiler suit, pointy heads, no faces, those kinds of things. And then that triggered a whole bunch of pranksters. The pranksters just basically made it really difficult for the investigators to go through and investigate. And yeah, so I mean, that's the basic episode. And I think for me, like I really do enjoy the encounters content, but honestly, like about halfway through the episode, you already see where things are going. And it's just kind of like the rest of the episode is just, okay, we're just going to get through to the end. So I think a little bit of the pacing, there's not a lot of intrigue that's built off of some of the stuff.
That's all.
So
You're mentioning that episode, and I don't even remember it. because the
Oh,
next,
really?
yeah, the next episode, it stayed stuck with me because obviously everyone's been telling you need to watch the last one, but I completely forgot about this episode until you started talking about it. I was like, dude, I don't even remember this episode, so it is forgettable.
Yeah, the notable pieces are just around the shared experiences and the kids, right? Because like this, I think the second episode, the shared school experience is a very powerful experience, right? And so starting off this one with the a same kind of experience, I think does lend legitimacy to people's claims that they experienced something. But at the end of the day, what they experienced, it's still, there's no photo evidence. It's literally just testimonials from people, with the exception of the investigation that the government did on Rosa, right? And I think potentially also the Combs farm in the 70s. So
My take
really good episode.
is what's your take on Men in Black? What do you think? Because you hear a lot about that, right? Like you hear about, all of a sudden people that were visited or felt like they were getting abducted or felt that they get abducted or they experienced something like I just don't know. I've never understood the whole purpose of Men in Black because it's not like our rogue, government or a rogue agency, that is trying to prevent you. They always it seems like it's being explained as they're alien and they're trying to like prevent you from sharing more information is how I always interpret like people share their Men in Black stories or any Men in Black encounters. It's like not only did you experience a weird UFO story or a weird encounter or a weird abduction story, on top of that you get another type of thing that seems kind of alien and it's reported that way because they all say it's not they didn't seem human, so that's what like what is it? What's their purpose behind it? Like I don't understand that. Like that's the one thing I've never understood about like Men in Black. Are they another subspecies alien here that's trying to like get information from? I just don't understand them. I don't know your take on it.
I think Men in Black was a great movie with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. You should definitely
Here
see it
come
if
the
you
Men in
haven't seen
Black,
it.
Galaxy Defenders, bro.
Yeah, the Galaxy Defenders. I think it's hilarious. When I was a kid, I heard through sightings and through independently just looking up stuff, tons of stories about Men in Black. I don't hear Men in Black stories now, and maybe that's just because I'm not looking and I'm not like actively looking into it. But my take on it is that the Men in Black were supposed to be some kind of government agency, right? That is not publicly held accountable. So complete black ops, and that it was in that space, right? Like that was the whole idea
Yeah, I
behind it. I
don't
didn't.
think that's what they are. I don't believe that.
You don't think so?
There's too many stories to say that like, well, these things didn't seem human. Like there was something off about them. Is what you always hear. Like half the story is that, and the other half is just like, yeah, it's pretty much rogue, a subdivision of the CIA or Homeland Security. Is what it
Well,
is.
they're
What
working. They're working with the aliens, right? Like they have access to technology to
that's a whole
wipe your
nother.
memory.
I mean, that's a whole nother theory that that it's just that they've been here forever and they're really in control of everything and they're trying to stop us from knowing more. They're suppressing us. Like it's a whole nut job story, really.
Yeah, I don't think Men in Black are like a thing. I think more than anything, it could potentially be some kind of just normal psychological thing that people go through when they have trauma, and it's being processed in a very particular way. I'm not qualified to say one way or another, but I don't think that the Men in Black thing is very convincing, and I think especially in the context of episode 3, um, it doesn't lend any for me. It doesn't lend any credibility to either of the two stories that they were visited by some faceless, pair of people who, after the fact, weren't government, and just doesn't make sense to me. So,
Yeah. Can't wait for you to watch the next episode.
Yeah, I'm interested in. I'm definitely excited to
You
see
need
it
to
because
watch it
that's the one that
tonight,
everyone
so that way
talks
you
about.
message me right after you finish watching it, so I could giggle. Man, you're in
All
for
right,
a
yeah.
doozy.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that the last episode really ties the room together. Right. That's the thing I'm looking for here is show me something that I haven't seen and tie all the stories together. And as long as it does that, I'll be very excited. So what did you think of? You just honestly don't remember anything
I
about
don't
episode
remember
3, like
anything
at
about that
all?
episode. It was forgettable to me.
You
I
hear that, Netflix? He did not remember a damn
the
thing.
reason why is the last episode just took it to another level that I was like, wow, I can't believe they Netflix actually covered this. It's just you just need to watch it and then you'll understand what I mean. And this is like what the second week that I told, I was like, you need to watch the last episode. You need to watch the last episode.
And that's exactly why I haven't watched the last episode. It wasn't just because it was like a time thing. It was like I wanted to watch these one per week so I could see how they're building off of one another without getting tainted by the last episode that everybody's literally talking about.
Yeah, it's great. And that I can't tell you a single thing. You just need to watch it. It's amazing. I loved it. 10 out of 10.
Well, great. The game plan is
Oh my
we'll do another
god.
live segment on it for sure, like 100%.
Absolutely.
I'll
I'm just
have
gonna
my
be
little
like,
notes.
so Japan. That's what I'm gonna start it. That's what we're gonna discuss. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll do another live segment, and then what I'm probably going to do is actually post a more cut up review,
Of
right? That's a
everything.
little more in depth and yeah, of everything as a whole.
I
Just
might have
as
to go back and watch it
there you
again
go.
so that way it's fresh in my memory. Because I watched it like a few weeks ago already. So that's why maybe that
Yeah.
episode you're talking about, I was like, I don't remember this episode. It was forgettable. But it's because of the last
Yeah.
episode. The internet has just been blowing up about it. It's amazing. I loved it. 10 out of 10.
All right. Well, are you ready for
I am
campfire?
ready for campfire. It's not a story, but it's a phenomenon that I want to discuss, and I want to hear your opinion on this. And let's start.
All right. Here we go.
Let's see how I look this week. Okay, I like it. Maybe they move over here. That way I'll be in. Phenomenon that was discussed and talked about, I'm going to say, since like the early 70s, and it was very dominant in like the 90s and the early 2000s. It is known as the hum phenomenon. Do you remember this? Did you ever recall anything about the hum? It's also known as the trumpet phenomenon. Remember those videos you used to see about the trumpets and those weird sounds and that weird, like, it sounded like either like a train was coming. You would hear like weird frequencies. People would be hearing this, and you would see these strange videos about this. Do you remember this from a few years ago?
Vaguely.
All right. So it was like the best way I could describe it is it sounds like the apocalypse is happening and you are listening to
Right.
trumpets playing. I don't know if you remember this, right? And people were
The
like in
the
the
end,
middle.
end times. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the
Yeah.
end times, right? And it was very dominant in like 98, 99 because of 2000. It also was very dominant in 2010 because of the Mayan calendar coming to an end. And we were seeing all types of videos. So I had been thinking about it, right? I had been always curious on what it is, right? And without sounding crazy, I have personally never experienced anything like that, like out in the wild or in my city or in the mountains, the humming noise or the trumpet noise or the train. But it is a phenomenon that has been happening since like the 70s and been recorded. So it's a term to describe a mysterious low frequency sound that's been reported by people in various locations around the world. While the source and the nature of the hum remains a subject and a debate to this day specifically, it's never been solved. There's many theories on what causes this, right? So a lot of people think that it's industrial noise that causes this. That's pretty much like machines, factories, ventilation machinery, which it happened in the last time it happened, right? I think that a big city reported it was in somewhere in, I think in Oklahoma, and it was a whole city that was actually saying like, hey, they're hearing the strange frequency. It's at this weird time. It happened for weeks. The community was saying like, what is it? And what ended up being is it being an oil machine that was causing these noises, and it was like breaking down, right? And that was like one of the theories that causes it. Another theory causes it, it's infrared sound, and it's the waves. And since there's so much noise pollution that it thinks that we are creating it in a sense, that's one of those. And one of them that is interesting is that also could be tendonitis, that we're suffering because there's so much sound around us now and in our ears, that's what could be causing this. There's many things, right? Like if you look it up, there's like 25 reasons what causes this, like low frequencies, groundwater flow, geological and seismic activity, military planes. But what is crazy about it is there was a city in New Mexico by the name of Taos that actually experienced this, and it was a super phenomenon because the whole city experienced this. And this happened sometime in the 90s, and they all heard a specific frequency. So what ended up happening is so many scientists and the media, and it blew up, started going and researching it. From the research, what they ended up finding out that only 2 to 4% of people hear this hum, this phenomena, that you hear this specific frequency. Oddly enough, I was talking to my fiance about this, and I was like, "Hey, have you ever heard the sound of the city before?" Like, I don't know. And Ryan, have you ever heard of the sound of the city before?
No, no.
So I guess I am part of this percentage, this 2 to 4%. Like, if I go outside or I'm somewhere, I hear like a hum, like a frequency. I can't explain it without sounding crazy. I do hear it, and only a select certain amount of people in the world hear this specific frequency. And it's I think from the ranges of like 60 to like 40 hertz, and it's just something you hear, but not everybody hears. It's like a strange hum or a strange vibration. And I've heard it before. Like it sounds like a train is coming from far away, is the best way I could explain it. Or like I've explained it to people like talking. I was like, yeah, you could hear the city breathing. And someone looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you guys don't hear that? Like you guys don't hear like this weird like hum or this weird sensation, like the city's alive? And they're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So I think I am one of those people that listen to this phenomenon that's a hum. And there's been many occasions of it. There was an occasion recently, I think as late as like 2022, and it's been forgotten. No one talks about this anymore. It's just a strange thing, and I think it's like a weird sound or frequency that only certain people in the world listen to. Like like kids too. You hear a certain frequency, and as you get older, you stop hearing it. I think it's something like that. So I don't know if you remember anything like that. And I thought it was interesting, and I had no idea that it actually is something that only 2 to 4% of the world actually is able to hear.
Does cilantro taste like soap to you too?
No,
Is that
bro.
like a thing?
It's nothing like that, but it's something like that. Like, and it's crazy. Like I could go outside and I'll listen to like what sounds like a train is coming, but there's no train is coming. And it just sounds like a weird vibration to me. Like if the city's breathing is the best way I can describe it.
If you go to a forest, do you hear the sound of the forest?
No, I hear this vibration, like this sound, like this
Yeah, no,
hum.
well, that's what I mean. Do you hear it? So if you go to like a forest away from the city,
It's
you'll
like
still hear a distinct hum.
yeah, it'll be this thing like as if like I'm so far away from the city, but I can still hear it. Is how I perceive it, like how I hear it. I can't explain it. Not that like each time I explain it to somebody, no one understands what the hell I'm talking about. I sound crazy. I'm not crazy. But yeah,
You are crazy and you sound crazy.
but researching this hum and this thing, I was like, wait a minute, this is something I hear. Like I understand what they're talking about. Like I've experienced this.
Huh.
So yeah, only
I've never heard a hum.
Not everybody does. Only 2 to 4% of the world population listens to it, and maybe that's what we're listening to. Like the people that hear the hum, the hum phenomena. I was over here thinking that it was like aliens and stuff, you know, but no, it's a frequency that not everybody can hear.
Are you sure it's just not your ears are bad?
Maybe, dude. I only hear really well from only one ear, dude. Like 60%, a lot of ear build up, wax build up as a kid. But
And you only hear what you want to hear out of the other ear? Is that it?
maybe. But it's just like, you know, as you were saying, this is like forgotten stuff. No one talks about this. If it's not on the media, if it's
Yeah.
not popular, it gets forgotten, I think. And I think this is one of those things it was everywhere. You would see these videos about it everywhere. People recording like Ukraine, the trumpets of God are sounding and the end times are here. And that's what it was. And people would record these strange phenomena. And they would say, like, no, it's ducking. It's a weird barometer, you know, atmospheric pressures changing. But no, it was just a hum people would listen to and hear. And you know, obviously the internet would add more to it, but it like died. And these cities that this happens, like, you know, it's not reported as much. You know, now they're sporadic. And you know, as you said earlier, they mentioned the Men in Black, that things like this. It's like what is now happening that in like 10 years from now is going to get forgotten. Everyone's talking about it. Like what's next is, I guess, where I'm going with the story.
It's got to be cilantro. It's got to be.
It tastes like soap. Cilantro tastes delicious to me, by the way. I love it with tacos.
Oh, I love it too. I can't imagine.
Imagine like soap. God, that's awful. I'd rather hear this hum than have cilantro taste like soap.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to
I mean, there's other things like lactose intolerance, right? Like that's another one that, you know.
You know, I'm not lactose intolerant. You know, I can't eat mangoes and kiwi. I'm allergic to them. You know, it shuts up my.
You're allergic to mangoes and kiwis?
Yeah, like I didn't understand that. Like when I would eat this stuff, it would make my throat like a sore throat. Until I mentioned it to somebody, I was like, "Yeah, I get a sore throat every single time I eat one of them." They're like, "You're allergic to it, then, bro." I was like, "What?" So anything that has like fibers in it, like, you know, hair fibers and stuff like that, I can't eat. I'm allergic to it. It causes me to have like a horrible sore throat. I love mangoes.
Oh man, that sucks. Can you drink mango juice?
No, I've tried different variations of it. Like if I want to eat it, like I know, like if I buy a mango today or a kiwi today and I eat it, that day my throat is like done. It feels like I'm getting sick, and I'll wake up the next day like nothing. I'm just allergic to them.
So let me get this straight. You eat a mango, you get a sore throat. You eat a kiwi, you get a sore throat. You
Yes.
go into a city and you hear the trumpets of God.
It's not trumpets of God. It's more like a hum. It's a hum. It's not like
The hum of God.
Oh, bro. It's like a vibration. If it's I can't explain it. It's like a car idling, you know? It's like I'm done explaining. See, now my throat's dry. I think you got disconnected.
1 second, technical difficulty.
No worries. I like the background. But yeah, dude, I hear this hum. I'm part of that 4%.
Horrific.
What, the mango part or the hum part?
The hum part. I couldn't live with having a hum all the time.
It's not like it bothers me. Like I don't even pay attention to it, but it's like it's a weird frequency. It's a weird like it's more like a vibration is what it sounds like. Like a low hum is what it sounds like. Like a very like, you know, it's like background noise.
Okay.
Is the best
Well,
I
if
can
you
describe
hear a
it.
hum or you don't hear a hum, you should like and subscribe
Definitely.
to This Week in Redacted.
Comment down below if you guys hear the hum and you're part of the 4%. And if you're also
Yeah,
allergic
actually,
to
I would-
mangoes, that's what I want to know. Like, who else hears this hum? You know, who else is allergic to mangoes?
I mean, there's going to be lots of people. I would be more interested to know who, if there's actual people on YouTube who hear the hum. I would love to hear that.
The hum.
So
Not talking about like end times trumpet and stuff like that, but it's like a hum. It's. I had no idea, and that's just as I was like researching the story to share. Like, hey, do you remember these trumpets at the time? You know, all these videos, and then it led to the hum, and then I researched it a little bit more, and I read into it and how many stories there've been, and there's been multiple cities and places around the world, and I was like, holy snap, this is something I experienced. Like, I know what they're talking about. I've heard this before. And it's not like I was hearing, end time trumpets, but yeah, it was interesting, just because I was like, oh, I'm going to share this story this week.
definitely a fun one. I'm so glad I don't hear the trumpets of God. You ready to do some TikToking?
Let's do it. My cat
All
made
right,
a presence right here, Nico.
there we go. What's up, Nico? Nico's like, just
He's
pet
here for
me.
the clout, the views. It'll increase it with the cat. He's such an
This
a-hole.
cat in Redacted.
Let you know if I can hear it.
All right, you all set? So I did demons today. Are you excited for demons?
I love demons.
Okay, here we go.
I don't hear sound.
There's no sound.
Okay.
Demons are really angry at me.
Do you
This is
believe
like
in
a
demons?
2-minute video. No.
You don't believe there was a war
Please.
between angels and demons, the fallen angels? What are we like? Oh, okay. It's poltergeist. There's slight sound, by the way.
Yeah, I can just barely hear it. It's easily a string.
Look, there was some activity there on the right. It looked like a light. Everything's gonna be fish string for you.
Oh man, that would piss me off. Oh, it closed it. It closed it. Okay.
Maybe it was inside. It's inside the refrigerator.
I mean, if I legitimately caught this on film, I would be freaked out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. How do you think they're doing it with the fish string? If you think it's fish string, I don't think that's fish string.
That's fish string.
Dude, that's really hard.
Could you do this though with like 2 strings? Getting super advanced here with 2 strings. 1 string on front and then 1 string on the side, and then
This guy's a super pro at it,
yeah, super pro. He's like basically trying to see where, because here's this section, you can't really see anything behind here, right? And that could be for opening.
Okay, so how is he
that
closing
door.
it then?
You can't see behind the fridge, so there could be a string attached to the inside door, and then you yank on it in the opposite direction. Now let's look at how the door opens again. I'm kind of curious.
Dude, I'm still. I have fish string at work, dude. I'm gonna buy some, and then I'm gonna
Like try some of this.
I'm gonna try
Yeah.
some of this. Like, is it really that easy to fabricate?
But bro, film yourself doing that, and we'll put it on. We'll put it on YouTube.
Be like, okay, so I try to make a poltergeist video, and a poltergeist
Yeah.
really happened. That's what we're gonna name it.
And I pissed off the poltergeist that's living in my fridge. All right, so let's look at this real quickly, right?
All right, so wouldn't there be a shadow on?
No, not with like string, like
No.
fishing
All right,
line.
then
No,
I'm
it wouldn't
gonna
be
get a
string.
fishing line, and then I'm gonna see if you can do that. I will have all the lights turned it off, and I'll see if you can see the wire. Because I believe you would be able to see wire because of the light.
So here's the thing, right? Like look at the motion. So you'd have to have something attached to the door, and for that initial pull, you would probably need to have something over here.
You don't think you'd
Right,
be able to
because-
do it from the bottom?
I don't think you. Well, I think the center of the door is probably the best, but you wouldn't be able to do it. I think from like this angle on this side. Right. I think you would have to do it from somewhere over here.
See, I feel you'll be able to do it from the bottom. Like you
I mean,
see,
you have to remember there's magnets, right? So you have to get like. Here's the thing. It could also be. Okay, there's a lot of mechanical ways you could do this. If it's a string on the outside, because it's a fridge, it's got the magnet, right? So the magnet, you need to pull really hard to get over that initial inertia. You know, the magnets there.
the clamp, right, is what you're saying. Like you need to break that clamp.
Yeah, the magnetic force. Yeah, and then so like one way that could happen is you could have a device inside the fridge that punches, right? So if you had that, or you know, does the force and then pushes it out like
You say
that.
you have a punching machine inside the refrigerator that's just hitting the door. But what did it
Yeah, I
make
mean,
like a
I can
boom
3D
noise?
print that. Nah, you just put like a couple rags on there, maybe like some sponges, something like that. You could 3D print all of those pieces, and then that would sit in the fridge, so you'd never see it at this angle. To get it back, you would need to have a string in the fridge with another thing that's pulling it back. You could do all of that stuff from within the fridge.
That fridge is closing too violently, though. Like watch
Well,
watch
let's-
at the
all right,
end.
let's
It's
look,
there's
let's
no way that something mechanical is pulling that hard.
I'm not so I you could absolutely do this with mechanical stuff. Now, whether or not the person who's filming this is capable of doing that, like that's a separate thing, right? Whether or not it's practical, I honestly like I'm not seeing anything here that you couldn't reproduce with 3D printable pieces. Like you just have two motors, right? One motor that's going to be pushing the door open, and then another one that's got like a reel with a string on it, and then it yanks it back.
So you're saying that they did this with motors. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying it's possible. I'm not saying that they did. I don't really know. Like
Okay, so
it's
I am
something
in
again.
the thought that it's either real or it's fish string. I don't think they did this with motors. It seems too organic. Like motors, I think you would be able to hear it at that velocity that it needs to. You would hear the motor going. Like that one is hard. The
You're
other
just
two,
saying it
yeah,
was
yeah.
pretty
The other
hard,
two
yeah.
weren't that hard. Like I agree with you that I think the person is on the other side of the refrigerator just pulling it to pull it that hard. Like I think they have string at the bottom and they're pulling it, and then they have string on the other side and then they're violently yanking it. And that's how they're able to hit that refrigerator so hard. Like
Yeah,
that
you
right
never
there.
see.
No.
Yeah, and you never see the bottom side, so it's definitely covered.
If they had like multiple angles of this,
It's in September. It's pretty recent. Yeah, I don't know. This one's interesting. This one's more. Honestly, I don't think this is real. I think this is more about how did they do the magic trick, right? Like if we asked Penn and Teller, I guarantee you they would know immediately what's going on here.
yeah, they're going to say the same thing, that someone is on the other side of the refrigerator, or they're inside the refrigerator. It could be an empty refrigerator too.
Yeah, yeah. You never see the inside. You don't see anything but to the left of the refrigerator.
And the other thing
And then you
too
don't see anything over there.
is that is a crazy bright light.
Well, I think it's it's 1 hour before you woke up, so I think this is all lights off, right?
Yeah, but look how, like, I mean, I'm gonna open the refrigerator tonight and then with all the lights, and let's just see how bright it really. That thing looks way too bright, bro. Like I'm not putting LEDs in my refrigerator.
Well, you should. That's what all
Make
the
it
streamers are
RGB. Is
doing.
that what I'm making in my
Yeah,
refrigerator, bro?
yeah, get it going.
All right. So what do you think on this one? Do you think it's is this like a thumbs up or thumbs down? Like, what do you know?
I think it's fake, but I think it's actually entertaining. I think it's one of the better ones that we've seen on TikTok as a
I mean, we
whole.
look how long we discussed about it. We were going like, okay, so how did they do
Yeah,
this? I think they did this. Like, how? What do you think how they did this? Because most of these are like, they're pretty bad, and you could tell like, oh god, they faked this. And this one's like, no, this one's pretty good. How do they? How do we think they did this? So, I I I,
absolutely.
I give it a thumbs up for the quality that it is. I don't think it's real. I think there's someone on the other side of it pulling, and they have something on the other side. I don't think it's mechanical.
Okay, I'm gonna heart this one. Just to show, let them know that we enjoyed
I enjoyed
their
it. 10 out of
TikTok.
10.
There's one thing you didn't know about demons. You see, many people are afraid of demonic spirits. But did you know demons are terrified of hell? You see, many people think hell is a party. Many people think hell will be fun. But demons have a very different view about hell. They know it's a place of torture. Just before Jesus cast demons out of a man, Matthew 8:29 says they screamed at him, "Why are you interfering with the Son of God? Have you come here to torture us before God's appointed time?" There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding in the distance, so the demons begged, "If you cast us out, send us into that herd of pigs." Demons know the truth about hell, and the devil deceived many people into thinking that it's a place of fun. But Jesus came to show us that through his death on the cross, that we have power over demonic spirits. Demons know their time is short. Jesus is soon to return. Comment below, I've got the power in Christ. Like, follow, subscribe for more. There's one thing.
All right, what's your take on that one? You think demons are real?
You know, I grew up Catholic and I went to Catholic school, and I am not like 100% convinced that they don't exist, but I do believe there's a good and evil, and I think is a possibility of demons existing, and they do have some influence on people, unfortunately. I don't know enough about Catholicism or any theology to know like where the origin roots of all of this is and why there was a battle, or if there was a battle, and why they casted him out, and hell, I just don't know enough. But I do believe in demons. I think they do exist. It's like almost like
I don't.
Ghost.
Yeah, I don't think demons exist,
It's me,
but
your
it's
boy.
definitely cool.
Hey
They're so
demons, it's me,
cool.
your boy Ryan. That's such a good.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think they're cool. I love demon imagery. I think it's I grew up listening to Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden and
I mean, it's
all the.
fascinating. Like, is it mythology at this point, or is it? I don't know. But it's fascinating. They have to. There's like a whole. There's a hierarchy of them. There's like names for them. There's different divisions of them. It's crazy. Like like I said, I don't know enough about theology or the study of demons or anything like that, but it's crazy.
I don't know. I've played D&D campaigns that have the same level of complexity with the hierarchies and stuff like that. So it's like, you
Goatman, you don't
know,
believe in Goatman, is what you're telling me? You haven't killed enough demons in Diablo? In any of Diablo, bro?
no, I
I'm an
stopped playing
expert.
that game. I know you're an expert. I've seen that level. That level is depressing.
Oh man, yeah, dude. Dude, Nightmare Dungeons 100.
Like, I don't understand how you're still playing that game. I honestly just, my
I
God.
guess I'm just a Blizzard fanboy. And plus I love like this demon stuff, man. Like I feel that like that's one way I could, cast them to hell. Because it's funny, dude, because if you notice like in books, literature, movies, video games, you're gonna cast them to hell. It's like,
Mhm.
maybe that this guy's onto something. It's like, why are we casting them to hell? Like, why aren't they in hell? Like, what happened? And maybe this is correct. And even, dude, I went to Catholic school all these years, and I don't even remember this in the Bible, to be honest with you. I don't even remember anything from the Bible. I know
It's just,
Genesis, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, bro. That's as close as I could get you to being what I know about the
yeah, it's just
Bible.
like his TikTok is just like, he's doing is saying people people think hell is a party. Who thinks hell is a party? Like, if you're Catholic or you're Christian,
No
I don't think
way.
you're thinking hell's a party. Like, I don't think so I think he starts on shaky ground there. I think it's pretty obvious
Bro, I watched
that
that
demons
movie
hanging
Ghost,
out.
bro, and I remember those demons that come up and then like drag you to hell. You know the movie Drag You to
Yeah,
Hell? Like, no,
I just rewatched that recently.
I
Actually,
haven't watched it in years. It's like a classic.
it's fun. It's like a rainy, here's the thing, and oh man, you're a fan of of Dead and like Evil Dead and all
Absolutely.
that,
Dude, I
dude.
just
If you
recently
have not
watched it
seen,
like a few years ago, like the first one and the second one. I have not watched the TV show or the new movie. I think there's like a new movie out, right? Or something like that.
yeah, yeah. So there's also on Shutter. This is not a paid advertisement for Shutter, but I do like Shutter.
Hint, hint.
Shutter. If you don't know what Shutter is, I guess I'll just advertise for them. It's like smaller horror independent movies, and it's online and it's streaming, and it's really cheap compared to like other services. Um, Anyhow, they have Creepshow on there. So I don't know if you remember Creepshow
Yeah.
was a movie, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So it's an anthology TV show on Shudder, and they had a Evil Dead homage that had Ted Raimi in it, and basically Bob the they're at like a TV studio like PBS, and there's a Bob Ross character who's basically getting his show canned for a more popular kids TV show where the host is an asshole. And in one of the adjacent studios, Ted Raimi comes in with their family heirloom to get it appraised on like an antique roadshows style show, and he brings in the Necronomicon, and they read it on air, and the studio starts to get taken over, and the Bob Ross character is really chill, because he was in Nam, and so he's got the killing skills, and he brings them out and just basically saves the day. It was phenomenal. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead, absolutely a love letter to the series. And the thing that really got me on it was afterwards, I was like, why hasn't Sam Raimi like built an Evil Dead like mythos on the scale of like Lovecraft, where we don't need to have every single story be the Bruce Campbell, super, chainsaw hand absurdity, but like tell some small stories that happened in that world, like some side stories that are compelling, because there's all kinds like the demonology stuff that's in there, the Necronomicon stuff is all just, it's so good. It could accommodate having these really interesting, compelling, smaller stories. That's my takeaway from it. And the reason I'm even talking about any of this is because Drag Me to Hell could have easily been within the same world as the Necronomicon. Like 100%. Like, the style is really similar. It could have been a really interesting story about, just how the demons pull stuff in. And if he built out like, and not everything needs to be like a huge franchise. I think too many things try to be that. But the Evil Dead could easily be a really amazing, compelling space to tell interesting stories about demons and
For those of you who don't
you
know,
know,
that Sammy Ray also directed Drag Me to Hell.
yeah. Did he direct it or did he just produce it? He was involved in it in
No,
some
he
major
he
way.
directed and wrote it. Drag
Did
Me
he
to
write
Hell.
it?
Yeah,
Oh, no
2009.
kidding. Okay, well there you go. Yeah.
He also directed
So,
Doctor Strange: The Multiverse. I did not know that.
yeah, yeah, and I liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. It
Oh,
was
I
kind of
liked it. I
mixed, I
enjoyed it.
think. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I would love to see him do more in that space. I wish they'd given him like full license to just do like a straight up horror film. Like don't eat like Doctor Strange, but as a horror film, not Doctor Strange as a Marvel film with horror elements. Straight up, like just make it like a Raimi, horror film would have been.
But I think that's why he has the Evil Dead whole universe. Like he can because he's had a lot of movies. He's had what Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then all the spin-offs, the TV shows. It's like you are right. He built a universe. He can go into that, and you're right. Like Drag Me to Hell could have been part of that universe too. Still can be.
Yeah, yeah, sure. All right, let's do our
On to
next
the next.
TikToker. part 3. Oh, nice.
That's one of your ex-girlfriends.
That's gonna get someone canceled online. Can we agree to not watch part 1 and part 2?
Definitely skip it. That was terrible. 0 out of 10.
Oh, this is awesome.
Oh, AI created this.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Very cool. We're probably gonna have to mute it on that one. I would be surprised if we don't get copy struck on it.
For the song, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is just a dare that our friends are making. Like, kiss every guy that's in here wearing a white shirt. See if you can get away with it. See how many guys you can kiss.
Casting a lot of demons out of my sister.
The guy looks like he's smiling.
I know. It looks so bad. Oh, I love it.
Come out now. Abortion. Come out. Come out. Have my sister no. Get out. You can't have it. Come out. Spirits of abortion. Come out in Jesus' name. Spirits of Molech. Come out in Jesus' name.
Casting a lot of...
What do you think about exorcisms?
I think half of them are people with the actual psychological problems.
Exactly half, or do you think that's just like you think most of them?
I think most of them.
You think most of them?
I think most of them. I mean, there's like what reported, how many actual reported cases of like demonology extraction. Like I think the Catholic Church has come out and said that there's like a handful of them that they couldn't explain as like, you know, mental issues or psychological issues.
Do you have like a Catholic? Are you on their newsletter?
Nah, nothing
Still?
like that.
Nothing like that? Oh,
Nothing
man.
like that.
I would love to know. Like, we should probably Google that. Or, hey, if you're watching this, and
The
you
church,
like and subscribe.
the church, the Pope.
Yeah.
How many?
Church,
I need to know.
Church or anyone, if you know how many exorcisms happen in the course of a year, comment. Let us know. And
I also think the
definitely-
church doesn't even recognize exorcisms. Like they don't even say that they even do exorcisms.
How does that all work? I guess I really don't know because I'm not Catholic, and I know it's not like something like you go to your Sunday, church services and talk about exorcism.
I've never known anybody. You know, Latin America is such a heavy Catholic, society that I've never known anybody, friends, family, that says that they've known somebody who's gone through an exorcist, or that they need help. I've had people say like they've been, highly intoxicated and drugged and, think that they're possessed, and it's just, because they're just high out of their mind. But I've personally have never known anything. All I know of is movies. And that's it. And it's like The Exorcism, of Emily Rose, and that's it. That's all I could come up with.
It's literally all I know. So if you know someone that's had an exorcism, post in the comments. Is that
That's Doja
Will
Cat.
Smith's wife?
Your ex-wife? That's what you said?
No, Will Smith's wife?
No, that's Doja Cat.
This has officially gone too far. Doja Cat's new music video for her song Demons might be the most demonic music video ever released in music video history. And at the time I recorded this video, it's number 5 trending in music already. And these were the top 3 comments on the music video. They love how she doesn't conform to the typical female rapper aesthetic. Her creativity is next level, that it's refreshing. People need to realize that this is art and it's emotional and it can connect people. And now I'm starting to feel like I'm on an island all alone. And before this becomes trending on TikTok, just ask yourself, is the music you're listening to changing the way you act, changing the way you think? And if it is it changing you for better or worse? And if it's for worse, then it's time to start rethinking things. But these lyrics
Don't want to get copy struck on that one. I honestly, like, come on, like, that's perfectly fine. Like, what's wrong with any of that? Like,
Oh man. So what she used to be as an artist, what she was bubbly. Um, she was a totally different rapper when she started this, right? And then when she got
okay,
famous, she went down this route. And I think that's where this whole satanic thing is coming from. Is like she sold her soul for the devil for fame, and that's why now she's paying respects to the devil and everything because all her music is like this now. And
that is there any way for me to sign up for that deal? Because, like, I
bro,
will take it in a
bro,
heartbeat.
so my cousin, right, he came back from Afghanistan, or I think of Afghanistan and Iraq, and we were talking about like selling your soul to the devil. And he was like, when you sell, I was telling him, I was like, when you sell your soul to the devil, sorry, David. He's like, when you sell your soul to the devil, and he's like, dude, he's like, I tried. He's like, I tried selling my soul to the devil. He's like, I tried doing it at midnight as they were doing. He says, I cut myself. He says, bro, he said the soul, he said the devil never came for my soul. He's like, it never
Wow.
happened. He's like, it's all fake. He's like, you can't do it. And I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, man, I just wanted to be in a better place. So I just don't know.
Get,
I don't know.
get him on, and what we'll do is maybe on Halloween at midnight,
Oh
we'll
man,
I'll draw some contracts, right? And then we'll see if the devil shows up.
right?
We'll live stream it. We'll do it on TikTok too.
Oh
We'll live stream
man,
on TikTok.
we missed Friday the 13th. On,
I know,
past
man,
Friday.
dude.
That would have been
We didn't talk about that at all. We should have themed this around
yeah,
Friday the 13th. Like, such a missed opportunity.
yeah. We messed
I
up a little
love
bit.
Friday the 13th. I watched like 3 of the movies just to have it on in the background, but I was dealing with the computer garbage on Friday. I basically, literally, I got everything like dialed in, set up today. I've been working on this shit since Friday. Since Friday.
Yeah, we
around,
we
like,
we missed an
7.
opportunity with the Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. We got a couple, big holidays coming up, like Thanksgiving. We should do some more theme months. I can do some themes around the intros and stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
it's Halloween, bro. Like it's that's super,
Yeah.
super,
But
super big holiday.
we're also just bootstrapping up the podcast, right? So it's like
Yeah.
there's still just like little things that we're working through, but as they come up, like we should definitely do some themed things. And not just like US themes either. Like we should be looking for like, I don't know, International Fairy Day or something, like whatever. Like I don't know, like we should get like a list of those things and like actually cover some, not because
Yeah,
some of the
definitely.
best stuff is outside of the US, so.
Definitely.
But like this whole Doja Cat thing, I mean, look, here's my take, and I talked about this last week, I think.
Mhm.
TikTok is they're just looking for the demons, right? And it's not like it's all like this weird moral judgment of like, I'm not going to listen to The Weeknd anymore because they're the most satanic band on their performances because they have masks on. And it's like, it's like, okay, man, like you made your
I mean,
15 seconds, but Weekend's
controversy
awesome.
sells, and that's what it is. That's what they're doing. That shock and
Yeah.
awe, that's what they're going for. I mean, what is it? Lady Gaga did that. She was like a big old
Yeah.
shock and awe. And yeah, it
Yeah,
sells.
you're talking about like artists changing the trajectory of their careers, and which is really what it sounds like Doja Cat is doing. Like we haven't seen that happen already, where we have like the teeny bopper who was like Disney all of a sudden is now, you
Hannah
know,
Montana, is that what
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We've already seen this. It's just like
They said the
you
same
weren't
thing
calling
about
them
Michael
out.
Jackson and Thriller, that it was like satanic and, like there's devil worshiping in that. And yeah, like,
I watched Thriller on Friday too, and it was nice. Every year I put it on. So good
I
still.
can't
It's
watch it
so weird.
after watching that documentary about it. That's the Thriller.
Listen, man, I want to believe that Michael Jackson
Touch the little
just
boys is what you're trying to.
no, I want to believe that like so first of all, here's what I want to believe. I want to be able to separate out the music and the
I
performance
can't.
art
I
from the
can't.
person.
I can't anymore. I can't do it.
Well, how do you play Blizzard games then? Like,
Ah.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna throw that in your face. Like, you just said you're a Blizzard fanboy. All right. I mean, like, like
It's like, yeah,
everyone picks and chooses,
I
right?
guess you're right. I guess you're right. It's like, yeah, but Blizzard fanboy, it's like, how can you pick that? Everything they've done to women as a company, in their own company, like, yeah, you're not wrong. I
I
I
mean,
I could
if
say that, like, dude, that has nothing to do with me. Like, but you're supporting them is what it's gonna come down to at the end of the day.
that's what it comes down to. And here's the thing: a couple, like maybe 7, 8 years ago, I went down the rabbit hole of how do I live a more ethical life, and it started with electronics because I was like just looking around. I'm like, okay, and there was that whole stuff with Foxconn. You know, Foxconn and the employees who were jumping out, basically unaliving themselves. And then the solution was they installed nets around the housing, so that people couldn't unalive themselves. I went down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well, what can I buy that doesn't have Foxconn stuff? You can't. You can't have a modern life without having to deal with this nonsense. You can try, but you're going to be Amish. Like
That's what it
that's
comes down to,
the
yeah.
yeah, and even then, if you're Amish living in the United States, well, you have to acknowledge Native Americans were here first. So what are you doing with your land? Like, it's you have to pick and choose your battles, I think is what it comes down to.
It's like, okay, so I ignore this battle and I'll be like, okay, like, yeah, it's just so. But yeah, I'm still like that about Michael Jackson. Like, I'll listen to his music, but at the end of the night, at the end of the day, I still think about that. I was like, dude, I'm in the mindset that I was like, yeah, he did what the court said that he was doing.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like that whole documentary that came out was horrific, number one. But at the same time, like the stuff that happened in court versus what people were claiming happened after the fact, like I don't know. Like I definitely don't want to believe it that that was the case, that he was doing the things that people claimed.
I mean,
I don't think that
the kid that was part of the original one, like who knows what they made him sign an NDA or whatnot? Who even
yeah.
knows? Like nothing. It's like he was the one, and then no one's heard of this kid after. He got paid.
Yeah, but my main thing though is like Corey Feldman, right? Like Corey basically came out and just said none of that stuff happened to him personally. And like Corey
Macaulay Culkin
Feldman,
also said the same thing. He's like, no, man, nothing ever. He was like my brother.
yeah. So it was like, and with Corey Feldman, like he came out and he is publicly talking about the experiences that he had with the ring of uh
The
older
pedophiles.
men, the yeah, pedophiles. Like I don't even want to say the word on. I don't even like saying the word, but it's just like he came out and he's talking about it, so he has every incentive to actually include Michael Jackson in there. And the fact that he's saying like, no, I never had those experiences. I'm not saying nothing happened, right? Like, honestly, at the end of the day, I just don't think you can know what actually happened unless you were involved in it personally. But that's just my take. And again, I'm just going off of the documentary, right? They have an
It was,
incentive
yeah,
to sell the documentary.
exactly. And it was a hard watch to see. And then it left you confused. It's just like, I idolized this person growing up. I enjoyed all
Yeah,
his music all my life. And then that happened. And it was just kind of like, it was sad that he wasn't alive to defend himself. And
yeah.
they might have been doing it for money. But yeah, now it's like, I was like, man, like that one time he did go to court and they did settle out of court. It's just like those things, like usually that doesn't mean that someone's guilty or innocent, and we'll never know. Most people are gonna think that, yeah, he did it. He touched little boys and he got caught and paid for it, and now all these people are gonna try to come out and make money off of it, and he's not alive to defend himself. But I think he just ruined his reputation.
Well, I'm still gonna enjoy Thriller. I think just taking you back to that. I love Thriller. In high school, we actually made like a zombie movie, a ridiculous camcorder movie, and it had an homage to Thriller just because it was such a big part of, and Michael Jackson's music was a big part of my youth too.
Yeah.
I remember, and you know what I was even thinking this weekend because I put Thriller on. Like, you don't hear like for the longest time, Michael Jackson was just always in the background somewhere. And the Beatles too. Michael Jackson and the Beatles, right? You'd walk into like a Subway sandwich store or whatever, and there'd just be like generic music on that would have those two groups. I don't think in the last like 5 years I've heard any of that music anywhere I've gone to.
They may not want to
play
pay
that in the store.
Nope.
Okay.
No Michael Jackson songs, no Beatles songs. Well, the thing is, I think he owns all the royalties to them too. So it could be that no company wants to pay for them because they're probably too expensive, or trying to distance
people
himself.
Just put the radio on, right? Like, you don't put the radio on at your store and just like have music on.
We have like the store music, and that's about it. But there's never a Michael Jackson song that plays, or a Beatles song that play, or a Madonna song that plays. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Madonna was another big one. I don't know. Maybe the hum of the city is enough.
Maybe it is.
That's all you need. You don't need music anymore. You just need
That's
the
all
hum.
I need. I'm gonna give you a big old, you know what?
Personally,
right,
I don't need
let's
that
do
type.
another one of these.
Copy.
And let's do like two more, and then we'll
All right.
call it for the night.
This man went to hell for 23 minutes. Listen to how he describes the demons he saw in hell.
I was standing beneath this tunnel, like cavern walls that were sending upward. And all along the cavern walls were demons. Some were only 2 and 3 feet tall. Some were 12 and 13 feet tall. But every one of them were twisted and deformed and grotesque. The most hideous looking creatures. And I noticed there were snakes crawling all over everything. And then I looked, and I was standing on a bed of maggots, just solid maggots crawling all over everything and everybody. But remember, Jesus said, where their worm dies not and the fire is not quenched. And he used the word maggot. And Isaiah 14:11 says, where the maggot will be spread under thee and the worm will cover thee.
This is no joke. Hell is a real place. Repent of your sins today and turn to Jesus so you never go there.
Man, who would have thought that the demonic tag would be so religious on TikTok? Like, not in a million years would I have thought, just going through, all I looked up was demonic. Right?
I mean, one question I guess is like, how did that guy even go to hell? Like, why was he in hell? That's another thing. It's just, come on.
Who knows? All I know is that while this whole TikTok was going on, all I could think about was, I want to train an AI to answer every single question with just like Bible quotes that like completely answer it. Just like, hey, what do you want for lunch? Well, in Leviticus 4:69, it says that you have maggots for lunch. Oh, okay, cool.
Train
little
AI
sacrilegious, but
yeah, it's kind of
All
interesting that it's all like religious, like, believe in God, believe in faith. I mean, it's bro, as the movie said, What was it? The one with the Denzel Washington where he's blind. And it all spoilers. Where he's blind and he's trying to transport the Bible in the end of times.
So the book of Isaiah.
Yeah, bro. He's like, it's a weapon, bro. That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's a weapon.
That's what it was called, right? I remember.
Yeah, the book
it's a
of
movie.
yeah.
I think it was the book of Isaiah. All right, let's do. Man, I don't want to see that.
Oh,
So first
man.
of all, like, why are you taking a cross and putting it on your kid in the first place? Did you have that experience as a Catholic? Did your mom come up to you and go with a cross? You know, like, what's going on?
No, bro.
I would scream too. If someone was putting something in my face like that, I'd be like, no, get it out.
No, nothing ever like that. She came at me with a chancla,
What's a chancla?
a sandal.
Oh, okay. And just like hit you over the head with it?
Yeah, like, if I was misbehaving,
That's fine. That's normal.
it's normal
But a
behavior.
cross? No.
Never a cross. Never a hand, but like a piece of an old sandal.
All right, this one is 8 minutes. I'm gonna veto that one. Let's cap it off with this one. Man,
God.
where do people even get that? It looks cool. I love the whole Bible angel, real angel thing.
Yeah, some of those are really bad.
I don't know. I think that looks pretty badass.
I mean, it's cool. It's AI generated.
I like how it's got eyes like on the rings.
Right.
All right, well, let's cap it off.
Let's
That's our
wrap it
show
up.
for the night, everybody.
Hope you guys hear the hum.
Yeah, I hope you hear the hum. So, great show. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. If you didn't, thank you for watching this long.
Right.
Because, yeah. And, yeah, we're going to cut this up, and I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast now.
Thank you for watching. Like and